Welcome back to the Canvas Basics module. In the last lesson, we looked at how to find our canvas and how to create our drawing object, which holds all the methods and functions and tools we need to draw on our canvas. So we've done all of that. We have two variables which hold our canvas and our context object. Now on to step 3, which is going to be drawing on the canvas. There are multiple ways you can draw on the canvas. You can draw a circle, polyline, you can draw shapes, rectangles, whatever. But for now, we'll be looking into drawing lines, alright? And then coloring those lines. Now that we've gotten our context, that is the context of our canvas, we can start drawing by using our predefined functions of this particular context, alright? So before we do that, I want to explain how the X and Y positions of the canvas work, because context we got needs to know where on the canvas it needs to draw. So for that, it needs to know the position. Alright, so you need to understand what the positions are so you can specify them correctly. So let me explain that quickly. So whenever you draw a canvas, there's going to be 4 different ending points for the canvas because it's going to be a rectangle, am I right? So there are 4 different points in your canvases, and this is the last point which specifies the X and Y value of your canvas. So the X and Y value starts from 0, 0 and then moves on. The X value moves on the right side and the Y value increases downwards. Alright, so if you had taken up graphs in your school or college, you'd probably know this, but if you didn't, that's alright. I'll try to explain it as easily as possible, alright? So this is the starting coordinate which indicates the X and Y value. So 0 is the X value and this second 0 is the Y value. So as you move on here, so this position is probably X plus 10. So that's 10. Y is still 0 because Y hasn't increased yet. But when you come here, now this position would be X comma Y, which is probably 10 comma 10. So that's how it goes. Alright, so depending on the actual size of your canvas. So at the end point here, X has finally reached its final value. So X is the X value and Y is also down here the final value. So Y is the maximum Y value. So you'd probably understand it better if I explain with the correct numbers and everything. So see, this is a 500 cross 500 canvas which we already created in our HTML file. Am I right? So 500 cross 500 as in, I actually drew it as a rectangle, but it should have been a square. That means the X value, that is the width of the canvas, is 500, the length of the canvas is 500. So the X is 500, the Y is 500 maximum. So at the last point here would be 500 for X and 500 for Y. And this point, starting point, would be 0 for X and 0 for Y. Now when you come down here, X hasn't increased yet, but Y has increased, so it would be 0 for X and 500 for Y this time. And similarly, when you go here, Y hasn't increased at all because we haven't gone down, but X has increased and reached the final point. So X is 500 this time and Y is 0 this time for this point. See these red dots? What about here? Here we're in the middle of the canvas, but we haven't come down anywhere. So the X value is 250, but Y value is still 0. And here we've come down halfway through the canvas, but we haven't moved past the X position. So the X position is 0 and the Y position is 250. Similarly here, the X position is 500, but the Y position is only halfway through, so it's 250. But in here, we've come halfway through for the X position and halfway through for the Y position. So 250, 250. So that's how it works for canvases. Alright, so if you wanted to draw a straight line from let's say 250, 250 to 250, 0. So that's how you'd mention. So you'd mention draw a line from 250 to 250 to 250 and 0. Alright, or you could say 250 to 250 to 100, 100, which would probably be somewhere here. So like that. Alright, so a line from here to 100, 100, or a line from here through to 250, 350, 350, probably right here. Alright, so that's how you mention where you want your diagrams to be on your canvas, because each point in this canvas has a coordinate with its own X and Y positions, which are based on the size you give for your canvas. Alright, So I hope I was clear enough there. So now let's get back to our JavaScript file so we can start drawing on our canvas. So now that you know how the positions work, you can easily draw wherever you want to draw on your canvas. So let's start with a simple line first. First of all, I'll need to move let's call it a digital pen or something like that. So first of all, I'll need to move the digital pen to the position I want on the canvas. Let's say I wanted to move to the position 10, 10. Okay, so 10, 10, where 10 is the x value and 10 is a y value as well. So in here, it would be somewhere here. So I wanted to move here. Okay, so this particular point. So for that, I'll be using the move to method of the context. I'll ask my context to move to the position 10, 10, where this is x value and this is y value. Alright, so move to has to have a capital T, so remember that. So now our context is standing at 10, 10, awaiting instructions. So now I want to draw a diagonal line that will go up to 90 in x position and 100 in y position. So 90, 100. So that will be somewhere here. See, first of all, our context was here. Now I wanted to go somewhere here, 90 in x position and 100 in y position, somewhere here. So it's going to be a diagonal line like this. So for that, I'll be using the line2 function that will draw an outline, not exactly a line yet, but it'll draw a outline from the position it is at this point, which is 10, 10, to the position we wanted to draw the outline to. So ctx dot line2 would be 90, 100. Okay, so right now we have an outline from 10, 10 to 90, 100, somewhere here, I guess. Okay. So finally, now that we've specified the two positions of the line, we can ask the context to draw according to our instructions. So far it hasn't drawn, it just has an outline, but you can't see anything on your canvas. Let me show you. Let's look at the live preview. See, we have our canvas here. It has a border and everything, so it's 500, 500 and all that, but there's nothing in here. That's because we've only specified the outline so far. We haven't specified that it has to draw on that outline yet. Alright, so for that, we're going to be using the stroke method, which will basically ask our canvas to stroke on the outline. So ask the context to stroke. Alright, so finally, you can see a line from 10, 10 to 90, 100. Okay. So since we didn't specify a color for the stroke, this line was drawn in its default black color. But we can specify a color. You can use the stroke style method to do that. So ask our context to have a stroke style, which could be any color that you want. So for now, I've just mentioned the color as red. The stroke style has to be before you call the stroke method, alright? So otherwise it won't be applied. We have a red colored line here, right here. So that's how you draw on your canvas. That's how you draw lines on your canvas, and that's how you can change the colors of those lines. Alright, I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.